Hello, and welcome to Nordexium News. We cover global conflicts, military developments, and changing power dynamics around the world. I provide clear and direct analysis without political bias or media noise. Let's get into the news I have for you today. If you like the content, please follow, subscribe, and share it with others. Today we are looking at Europe's demographic shift, not the political version of this story, the numbers, official numbers. Published by Eurostat, the United Nations, and national statistical offices, numbers that most coverage either ignores or buries in noise. This is not about invasion. It is not about conspiracy. It is about birth rates, migration volumes, and age structures. And what happens when those three variables run in the same direction for 30 years? Start with the birth rate. The EU's total fertility rate is currently between 1.3 and 1.5 children per woman. The replacement level, the number required to keep a population stable without migration, is 2.1. Europe has been below that for decades. That gap is not a blip. It is structural. What that means in practice, more Europeans are dying each year than are being born. In the absence of any other variable, the continent's population shrinks, and it ages fast. The median age in the EU is now above 44. In some Eastern European countries, it is approaching 50. The other variable is immigration. By 2025, around 64 million foreign-born people lived in the EU. That is up from 40 million in 2010, an increase of 24 million in 15 years. The primary source regions are Sub-Saharan Africa, the Middle East, South Asia, and Latin America. This is not intra-European movement. This is external intake at sustained high volume into countries whose native populations are contracting. Eurostat's own projections, Europop 2025, show the EU peaking at around 453 million people between 2026 and 2029. That peak only exists because of net migration. Without it, the decline starts now. Here is where the composition shift happens. Incoming populations are younger. A cohort that skews 20 to 35 years old produces more births than a cohort that skews 40 to 55, regardless of per-woman fertility rates. Fertility rates do converge over generations, but that convergence takes time. In the first and second generation, immigrant origin birth shares rise. In UK cities, this is already visible in school enrollment data. In France and Belgium, it shows in maternity ward statistics. This is observation, not projection. Let's go country by country, starting with the UK, where the projections are most detailed. Oxford demographer David Coleman projects white British people becoming a national minority somewhere between 2053 and 2066. That assumes net migration stays at 300,000 to 500,000 per year. Recent years have exceeded that figure. White British births have already fallen to around 56% of total births. London and Birmingham crossed the threshold years ago. Germany, France, Sweden, Belgium, Austria, similar trajectory, slightly different timing. Pew Research projected Muslim origin populations reaching 18 to 20% in these countries by 2050 and up to 30% in Sweden. The broader non-Western ancestry share is higher than that in most cities. Now look at Eastern Europe. Poland, Romania, Hungary, minimal immigration, declining native populations. Their problem is not composition change, it is absence. People are leaving and nobody is arriving to replace them. The economic case for immigration is real. It is documented. Working-age population decline reduces tax revenue. It strains pension systems and empties sectors where native workers are absent. Elder care, construction, logistics. Immigration has offset those losses directly. Some analyses credit it with nearly 40% of recent EU GDP growth. The limit of that argument is skill level. High-skilled intake generates net fiscal surplus. Low-skilled intake can generate net fiscal cost, particularly in housing, education, and public health. The EU applies the economic argument uniformly. It does not select for outcome. The political response is not irrational. Voters across Europe have moved right on immigration in every major election from 2022 through 2025. Voters in France, Germany, Italy, Sweden, the Netherlands, and Austria are responding to changes they can see in their cities, schools, and neighborhoods. The response itself is predictable given the rate of change. Policy tightening following the 2024 and 2025 election cycles may alter the projections. Timelines may extend, but they do not disappear. The fertility gap is structural. No European government is currently proposing a pro-natalist policy at the scale required to close it. The real debate is not immigration versus no immigration. The choice is managed, selective, integrated immigration or unmanaged inflows. Canada and Australia run points-based systems. Higher skilled intake, better labour market outcomes, lower fiscal stress. Europe's systems are built around asylum frameworks, family reunification, and free movement. None of those are selection mechanisms. The data is not contested. What is missing is the political capacity to act on it without using it as a weapon. That is the picture as the data shows it. No inflation, no agenda, just the numbers and what they point to. If you found this useful, follow Nordexium News, subscribe, and share it with someone who wants analysis without the noise. I will see you in the next one. Wake up, Europeans, before it's too late.